Namaste. I request you all to rise for the invocation. अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. नमस्ते. Thank you, ma'am. Namaste once again, and a pleasant morning to everyone. I extend a hearty welcome to the distinguished guests on the dais and all the illustrious teachers of mathematics to this ingenious program, Raising a Mathematician, RAM, shortly known as RAM. Before we proceed further with the program, let us invoke the blessings of the Almighty by lighting the Kutuvalakku. Lighting the traditional Kutuvalakku ushers in positivity. I request the dignitaries to do the honors. Kindly join us in lighting the Kutuvalakku. Please. Thank you everyone. Mathematics has always been fascinating to inquisitive minds. This program, Raising a Mathematician, RAM DABTTP, has brought together teachers span Tamil Nadu. Hearty congratulations to all the teachers who have cracked this unique test and are present here today. On that brief note, may I invite Srimati Shanti Ashokan ma'am, Director of Education and Innovation, to welcome the gathering and also introduce the chief guest and the guest of honor.
Namaste to everyone. On behalf of DAB Group of Schools, Chennai, and on behalf of RAM, I deem it a great honor to welcome you all to the inaugural function of RAM DAB TTP 2023. DAB Group of Schools has completed more than 50 years of service in the field of education, and today we embark on a journey of discovery, learning, and innovation. I am extremely privileged to welcome our chief guest of the day, Dr. Manoj Jaishwal, Professor of Physics, IIT Madras. Sir, hearty welcome to you, sir. Dr. Manoj Jaishwal holds a PhD in Physics from IISc Bangalore. He then pursued as postdoctoral research at Max Planck Institute for Polymer Research in Germany and subsequently at NUS Singapore before joining IIT Madras in 2011. Sir has received the Young Faculty Recognition Award in 2016 for Excellence in Teaching and the Institute of Research and Development Award in 2019 for Excellence in Research, both from IIT Madras. He's on the editorial board for Journal of Physics in the Institute of Physics, UK. Sir, we are privileged to have you amidst us today, and I request Shri Atul Nandyaji, our Joint Secretary, Tamil Nadu Arya Samaj Educational Society, to felicitate our Chief Guest, Dr. Manoj Eshwar. Thank you, sir. I also deem it a great pleasure to welcome a guest of honor, Shri Anuj Jaishwal, who had his schooling from Sainik School in Nainital, and thereafter he joined NDA to become a fighter pilot in the Indian Air Force. However, he was academically inclined to pursue his post-graduation in physics from Delhi University, and later he joined the IPS in 1980 and served in various capacity in different parts of India, including Tamil Nadu, Assam and Kashmir. He retired in the year 2015, but his passion for teaching and conducting orientation program in physics has never stopped. Sir, we are greatly happy to have you amidst us. Most welcome, sir. So I now request Vinay ji, co-founder of Raising a Mathematician Foundation, to felicitate our guest of honor, Shri Anuj Jaishwal ji. Thank you, Vinay ji. Our association with Shri Vinay Nair in the last few years has helped us to initiate such a camp to equip teachers, handle gifted children, and to stay updated with the latest research and methodologies in mathematics. I also extend a warm welcome to all the faculty members of RAM, extend a special welcome to all the invitees and teacher participants. As educators, each one of you should keep reinventing yourself and never stop learning, as learning is an integral part of teacher's life. Happy learning for the next 5 days. Welcome you all.
Thank you, ma'am. The DAV group of schools is renowned for its sustained academic excellence and holistic education that is being imparted to the students, empowering them with critical thinking and life skills. DAV strive towards providing high-quality, value-based, affordable education embedded in spirituality and service. Coming up next is a video of the DAV group of schools.
laptop
a mathematician, or shortly known as RAM, is renowned for its training programs and aims at enriching and equipping teachers with a deeper knowledge in mathematics. May I now call upon Mr. Kaustubh Limaye to introduce and enlighten about the program. Having completed his Masters in Mathematics, Mr. Kaustubh is currently teaching at NMIMS Mumbai. He is associated with RAM on multiple projects as well as teaching aid in the TTP. May I request you to come up, sir?
Namaste everyone. As the name Raising the Mathematician suggests, we focus on identifying and nurturing talents from diverse background and raise those young minds to be a great mathematicians. We discover those minds and work on enhancing their thinking by giving them delicious mathematical food. And we have many expert chefs for that, and some of them are here with us. And in fact, we will be receiving a booklet in which you will find all mathematical delicacies and cuisine. So for that, we run various programs, and some of them are online and some of them are residential, to collaborate with top institutes like Chennai Mathematical Institute, Azim Premji University, Mahindra University, and in fact DAV, which is fully supporting this teachers training program for. So thanks to DAV as well. To increase the footfall of women mathematicians in our field, we run all girls math nurture camp, which is shortly known as AGMNC. And in that, many of women mathematicians from all over the world have been contributing. There is a Russian concept which is 100 years old called as Math Circle, which is there in US for like last 30 years and recently came in India. And we are proud to tell you that we are the first in India who run Math Circle for non-English students. Also, there are many Olympiad training programs that we run. If you know IMOTC, that is International Math Olympiad Training Camp, which is a camp for 60 students who have been selected from 50 to 60,000 students from all over the India who have applied for Olympiad after filtering through many stages of Olympiad. And this year, out of those 67 students, 11 were from RAM. So that was a great achievement for those students. Along with that, our students have been getting scholarships for their higher studies from institutes like Cornell, Harvard, Princeton, Oxford, and also getting opportunities from renowned institutes in India like IITs, many IITs, ISER, ISI, NIT, CMI, and many more. In short, we are a launching pad for students who want to fly high. And as we grow, our launching pad is getting bigger, and we want more students to go outside this conventional curriculum world, and we want you all to be their first stage rocket to give them a little push. So that's why you all are here, and congratulate to all of you for getting selected. So this is the brief about what we are and what we have been doing for last 10 years. I know you will be excited to know more about this teachers training program, and for that Murli sir will guide you properly. So I hope you will enjoy the camp, and that's all. Be inspired and make students inspired. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Vidya Vashigran is a trained Montessori teacher who has been volunteering for RAM as a teaching assistant. May I now request Mrs. Vidya Vashigran to introduce Dr. Muralidharan to the gathering.
Good morning all. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce Murli sir to every one of you. He has got his PhD from the most prestigious university, TIFR. When doing his PhD in TIFR, he got the opportunity to learn computing and graph theory because he needed that for his thesis work. But that has paved him way to enter the service sector, the TCS, Tata Consultancy Service, and he has worked there for more than 20 years. And after his retirement, he is now a teaching professor in CMI, the Chennai Mathematical Institute. So he is closely associated with AMTI and is also now part of the training team, the International Math Olympiad training team. He has published about more than 5 books. The recent one is on the combinatorics, and many of his mathematical solutions has been published in the Canadian publication journal called The Crux. Even though he has walked so many paths, the one common thread that we could find is his passion towards mathematics and his thirst to pass on the knowledge to others. So he is one such teacher who would encourage the children to stretch a little bit, to struggle a little bit, in his words, especially to struggle a little bit to arrive at the answers, because he believes that that would make the children to realize the beauty of the journey rather than the answer. So we are so happy to welcome you, sir. Thank you.
May I now invite Dr. Muralidharan to elaborate about the objectives and plan of action of RAM TTP 2023 camp.
I should start with the Guru Bhyo Namaha. There are so many gurus here. Right? Even the invocation was a guru song. In fact, seeing one math teacher itself is enough to make one tremble with fear. Here we have a room full of mathematics teachers. Right? But the teaching community is the one which is trusted the most in our society. If you really look at even our Hindu culture, it is Mata, Pita, Guru, Daivam. In the priority order, teachers are even higher priority than Daivam itself. So that's the kind of our culture. And this is due to the fact that you are the shapers of the individuals, you are the shapers of the society, the shapers of the country, and even the shapers of the world. If this link fails, then the whole thing fails. That is, the individual fails, the society fails, the country fails, and then the world also fails. And to deliver that kind of responsibility, we have to deliver excellence in our duty. And any professional will get outdated pretty fast. In fact, I was in the IT sector. If I blink a bit more, I will get outdated. That's the kind of speed at which that industry grows. Even the teaching community has to be similar to that. If you don't keep yourself updated continuously, then you will really fail as a teacher. If you read the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, he asks one question, meaning one of the habits of the highly effective people is the sharpening the saw. So what does it mean? Sharpening the saw is reinventing yourself and also learning more to deliver more. Okay, if you don't sharpen the saw, then you become outdated anyway. That's why even in the written test, we asked one question. When was the last time you found something or you discovered something beautiful in mathematics? Or you discover something beautiful somewhere, not necessarily mathematics, even it can be a new recipe or something like that. It's basically to sharpen that saw. So you will not find answers here. The best way is to see, because as they say, the best way to learn is to discover. And the worst way to enable that discovery process is to give the answers. So we are not going to give any answers at all. In fact, any teacher is a marketing person. So what does he market? He markets the beauty of the subject. So you got to make children realize the beauty. For instance, if it is music teacher, so what does that person do? He just sings in a beautiful melodious song. Somebody can create that beauty out of his own throat. He also tries, she also tries, and so on. Similar thing we are going to do. And if somebody doesn't sharpen the saw, what happens? First of all, they become dull, ineffective, but more dangerously uninspirational. Okay? And whenever I meet somebody, they say, I hate mathematics. And behind that hate, I can always see an uninspirational teacher who was really the key behind that hate. I also have a friend who is 90 years old and he loves geometry. And even today he can do problems in geometry and then explain that with passion. The kind of passion, in fact, I can see him before my eyes right now, the kind of passion he brings to the subject, brings to the solution is astounding. Anybody, even a dumb person will say, oh, is it that good? That's the kind of thing they will require, okay? And he attributed his love of geometry to an 8th standard teacher. Okay, when you might see 8th standard means, he would have made it around 13 years, and then it is more than about 77 years. He still remembers the teacher, and then the beauty is so, seed which that person has sown in him is still growing and then still alive. And most of you would have taken to mathematics out of the sheer love of the subject, right? I don't think anybody who hated the mathematics would have come to this profession at all. And most of the beauty was revealed to us through a discovery process, right? And then, as I said, the best way to learn is to discover. And in this workshop, you are going to learn to discover the beauty, be it in football, be it in puzzles, be it in games, or be it in numbers and more. So you are not going to tell me the answers. If you ask me a doubt, in fact, most of my students would know. If somebody asks a doubt that is this the right answer, I would say I do not know. Because if you want to solve a problem, you should solve the problem and should know that it's the right answer also. There is no need for somebody to sort of authenticate that your answer is right or wrong. Okay? And one final thing. That's a precious time to this workshop. How should you approach that? Let me tell you an anecdote. Recently I was in the US. My wife and myself was in the US visiting our daughter. One day she took us to a very nice fancy restaurant, saying that in this restaurant the dessert is very special. It's called tiramisu. Okay, we went there and then we had dinner and the dessert came. My wife takes one spoonful and then puts in the mouth and thinks for a while and says, this is maida, custard and custard meaning condensed milk. They should have added a pinch of, a drop of lemon juice to make it more tingy. So what is this? She is very passionate about cooking. So she lost all appreciation of the dessert but went to her passion, that is cooking. Okay? Similarly, I know that all of you are passionate teachers. So if you sit in the class wearing your teacher's cap, what will happen? See, this person's board work is not good. Okay? He is not repeating sentences. He introduces the subject very badly. And he doesn't answer any questions at all. And see his body language. All that thing will happen. So remove your teacher's cap. And wear the cap of a student who is 8th standard or below. Why am I saying 8th standard or below? From 9th standard onwards, the students have started searching the shadow, that is the marks. Okay, even if you present something beautiful in mathematics, see how nice it is. Miss, will it come for the exam? Will it be 2 marks, 3 marks, 5 marks, 10 marks? Right? So don't be a 9th standard or above student, be an 8th standard or below student. Then you will learn much more than this, okay, much more from this workshop. So if you, at the end of these 5 days, if you feel that we have rekindled your love for mathematics and made you fall in love with maths again, why I am saying again, you would have lost love for a long time now, because teaching, I know how demanding the profession is and how demanding the students are these days. Okay, so if you are falling in love with math again at the end of these 5 days, we would consider ourselves succeeded in this profession, succeeded in this workshop. So enjoy, and okay, let me just correct it a bit. Let's enjoy that together. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that interesting introduction. Well, it's time now to listen from the chief guest himself. May I invite Dr. Manu Jaiswal to address the gathering.
Namaste and good morning to all. And It's really an honor to speak in front of all the mathematics gurus, the best mathematics teachers who are here for this program. I'll briefly share a few experiences with regard to mathematics, teaching learning process, and over the next 10 minutes or so. Mathematics has been correctly called as, the crest of the peacock. There is a shloka which says that. It's a supreme science. One of the purposes of mathematics is also to explain natural phenomena. The language of physics is also mathematics. Yet, mathematics is disconnected with natural phenomena. And that is the reason why students or teachers always struggle to convey concepts or understand concepts. 2 plus 2 is 4, even such a simple thing, is actually very ambiguous, because when one says 2 plus 2 is 4, are you referring to 2 apples and 2 apples making 4 apples, 2 cars and 2 cars making 4 cars, or what? Even such a thing has to be seen disconnected with apples and cars, disconnected with our individual prejudices, impressions, experiences. It's simply 2 plus 2. There are no apples, there are no cars. I'll share a small story. This is my experience as a parent teacher trying to teach at that time, my daughter was in class 3. I wanted to convey to her a slightly advanced concept a little early on. The question is very simple. A pigeon eats an apple. They don't eat apples. That's the first mistake in the question. A pigeon eats an apple in 10 minutes. How long will 2 pigeons take? And she's in class 3. She has never come across such a problem. She sits. I allow her to sit for a long time. Keep thinking about it. Whatever comes in your mind, write down or tell me. And she can't come to this idea that 2 pigeons, she says, always should take more time. How come they will take more time? 1 pigeon takes 10 minutes, 2 pigeons should take less time. So I waited for some time, and then she wrote down all she thought. And she said, what I imagine is there is 1 pigeon comes and eats a part of an apple, then flies away, then the next pigeon comes, eats the remaining of the apple. That should take more time because there is also flying in and flying out. And then I realized the mistake is with the question. It was nowhere said they are eating together. So the problem with mathematics is that there is a lot of our day-to-day perceptions we try to impose on the question, but the mathematics is essentially disconnected with the real world. We have to solve it without thinking of pigeons. Solve for pigeons, solve for apples, but don't think of pigeons and apples. This is also very nicely stated in R.K. Narayan's book Swami and Friends. There is a conversation between father and Swami just before the maths exam. Rama wants to, it's an algebra question, Rama wants to sell 10 mangoes for rupees 15. Krishna wants to buy 4 mangoes. How much should Krishna pay? And all the while Swami is thinking, if only somebody could tell me whether the mangoes were ripe or not ripe, then I can answer this question. Because he wants to know whether Rama is charging a reasonable price. Right? And that's the tangential direction where students tend to think, put their own impressions on the question, and getting them to this abstractness or symbolism, which is the heart of the mathematics, is the challenge for the teacher. Another experience I'll share as a student, when I was in class 7th, I was given this very nice book by Mir Publishers, Mathematics Can Be Fun. And I used to spend a lot of time reading that. There are many interesting stories, and the purpose of these stories is that it gets you to spend so much time with the abstract subject. You have to get used to symbolism, get used to this abstractness. And there was one very nice story in that book. This is Pythagoras' theorem, x square plus y square is z square, where x, y, z can be integers. One pair is 3 square plus 4 square is equal to 5 square, the Pythagorean triplet. But if you go to higher powers, x cube plus y cube is z cube, there are no such integer combinations available. And that is known as Fermat's last theorem. The book described the theorem very briefly. At that time when I was reading 1992 or 93, there was no proof for that theorem. Though it's hundreds of years old, it's like a celebrated unsolved problem in mathematics at that time. And the story goes, Fermat wrote in the margin of his notebook, the proof of this theorem is there with me, but this margin is too short to put the whole proof. I thought when I was reading it, if the margin is too short, it might be a page, it can't be more. So why not I try this out? And I spent a whole year working the proof of it, which was very naive because it was proven in 94 by Sir Andrew Wiles, hundreds of page long proof. But that was a turning point in my career, in my life, because it got me so interested, hooked on to some problem, continuously thinking about it. And that was the real learning. So these stories which are woven and which help to get students to get connected to the maths rather than being completely abstract. It helps you to spend time. Even in not just in Russian literature, you also have in old Indian literature. For example, there is in Leelavati, Arjuna is shooting so many arrows, and problem in algebra presented in a very interesting way. The last thing I will mention is some experience as a teacher at IIT Madras, where I have had the chance to teach mathematical physics to MSc students and also mathematical physics to undergrad BTech students. So in IIT gives us a lot of freedom. There is of course a syllabus to follow, but there is some room where you can teach what you like, left to the teacher. If you can mostly cover the syllabus, you can teach something interesting. So I left a lot of things open. Students can come with their ideas based on what is discussed in the class, and they can suggest, they can present, or they can ask me to present, this is very interesting related to what you taught. And this I feel is a core learning process, because for the teacher the learning process should not stop. And the best way to learn is through the student, because they are always looking around for something interesting. If I try to search, I may not find. So I use students to help make the class interesting for all of us, and I call it co-learning because I am also not a teacher at that moment. I am also a learner along with them. So one very interesting thing, I was teaching conformal mapping in complex analysis. So someone said, I have read something similar, there's a nice paper. You have a ball connected to a spring and you turn it around. The ball, one can do a mathematical solution, it follows an elliptical path. There's just a ball and a spring. You're swinging it around. It follows, ellipse is a solution of the problem based on the Hooke's law which is pulling the ball. And we also know planets like Earth, they move in elliptical orbits. These two problems are totally different problems. They belong to the physical world. One is a problem of a ball swinging with a spring, other is gravitational force attracting the planet and taking it down. But what the student presented, I very nicely remember, it was eye-opener for me. These two problems are connected with a conformal map. One can go from one to the other. So mathematics is not just about describing natural phenomena, but seeing such connections which otherwise you cannot see. A simple mathematical transformation can take you from one problem to the other, and then you can just stare at it, at the mathematical beauty that is there. And this is thanks to a student who brought this to my notice. So then I once more wish you all the best for this teacher training program, which is a great opportunity to have group learning. The lasting example I was telling you is about group learning. Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Vinay Nair, the co-founder of RAM, is a passionate advocate for gifted and K-12 mathematics education. He dedicates his time, energy to working with students across the country, both online and offline, to enhance their reasoning skills, creativity, and inquiry through mathematical thinking. May I now request Mr. Vinay Nair to enlighten the audience on the P.P. Raman Awards.
A few years ago, I read a quote. It said, there are teachers who are teachers by profession, and then there are teachers who are teachers by passion. But then there is a small segment of teachers who were chosen to be teachers by the teaching profession. So it's like the mission chose, or the mission wanted to manifest in the form of a teacher. So it's my great privilege to talk about one such teacher whom I encountered in my high school and under whom I would learn for 2 years. But the kind of impact that the teacher left on us was an impact for a lifetime. And he was none other than Sir P.P. Raman. And today we have a felicitation for Shri Rajendran Sir by the P.P. Raman Award. And it is my great honor to speak a few words about what this award is all about and who was P.P. Raman Sir. So, P.P. Raman Award we started giving last year through Raising a Mathematician Foundation for one teacher who's teaching mathematics, but not just teaching mathematics, but transforming the lives of students through mathematics education. And especially teachers who have been working very silently, and their impact has been quite magnanimous. And this award is given by the family of P.P. Raman Sir to such teachers. So I will just give you a brief glimpse of what kind of a teacher he was. In fact, when I was listening to the previous speakers, I could already see that they themselves, or they had teachers who were who had these similar qualities, and I'm sure all of you would also remember some teacher, not necessarily math, but who had these qualities. So a bit about P.P. Raman Sir. He was born in 1928 in the Palakkad district in Kerala, and he spent 35 years teaching mathematics there and retired from Sarvajana High School there. But then once a teacher, always a teacher, right? So it's very hard to get out of a teaching habit. So he, in his words, it was his second innings. After retirement, he came to Mumbai to spend time with his son, where he would teach again for 25 years. So he was a teacher for 6 decades, from the age of 21 to the age of 81. And till the age of 79, he was teaching at least 6 hours a day. The last 2 years, he was teaching for 3 hours a day. And when we think about 6 decades, it is like at least 2 generations he has taught. He has taught students and their children also. There are a lot of things that I can talk about his teaching styles and the kind of impact that he left, but I'll just mention a few. So this was the time of coaching classes booming in Mumbai, and almost every coaching center would love to flaunt their student achievements and with big hoardings and things like that. But that was never Raman Sir's style, and his measure to his way to measure success was something like seeing how best have I been able to bring out the student to its or her full potential. So how he would have students in the class is there was no selection process, but it was on first come first serve basis, and he would select only 12 students in a batch. And most of us who would come to his batch were very dull-witted to when we kind of entered in his class. Maybe there was 1 or 2 bright students and 1 or 2 students who could never do even a simple operation properly in mathematics. But in just 2.5 months, he would make a big change, and over a period of 1 year, the class average always went to more than 90%. 90% that time, was a very, valuable thing, not like 90% today, with all due respect to the students who are scoring such high marks, but the 90% was a great score back then. So how did he achieve that? So there were a few simple but very profound things that he used in the class. So one was he always encouraged to ask questions in the class. And this for me was a very new experience because he was already 66 when he was teaching us. And that generation, questioning elders was not something that was welcomed everywhere. And he used to encourage us to ask questions. And we would happily ask questions, counter his arguments and things like that. And in return, when we would ask questions, like Murli sir said, there was no answers given to us. was said, you think, you discuss in a peer group and you come up with your answer. And in that discussion of peer group, we somehow started teaching and learning from each other. And that went a long way. And I think me getting into teaching profession, those discussions in those benches and desks, I think the seeds were sown back there, and a lot of us got into teaching after that. Another unique thing that I remember in his class was he never took a book in his class. So there was no textbook that he would bring to his class. You just create questions on the fly on the board, and then you would be solving that. All the textbook problems, you would say, oh, these are all very simple problems, you do it as homework. So that was his kind of attitude. So we could see that he's coming from he's a very highly skilled person, and he knows what is the next best question that we can give to the students. And he was always welcoming all kinds of students, like I was saying. So now it's been a few years. It's been about 14 years that I'm into teaching, and sometimes when I think, what is it that magic that he carried, which sometimes I feel I'm not able to do in my class, and I feel that one thing that he really had was the deep love for his students throughout. And I'm sure all of us would agree that we all love our students, you know. And the kind of love, if I can just narrate with an example. So I was working at this time, and I just happened to meet him on the road, and he was with a friend, and he said, you know, this boy is Vinay. He passed out in 96 batch, and in 96 batch there was a problem. There was a SSC paper leak, and they had to write the exam again. In the first attempt, he got this much in mathematics. In the second attempt, he got this much in. So he gave my entire biodata just standing there, and I couldn't even, you know, hear what he said after that, because nobody remembered my marks except for maybe me and him. So that was the kind of place that he held for all his students throughout his life, and for us, he has always been like an emotion. You know, there is never a instance where we don't feel choked when we are just thinking about him. So he lived such a life, completely contented till the last day of his life, and after he passed away, his family, his children and grandchildren, they felt that there are so many other teachers like Raman sir who are working relentlessly without expecting any kind of recognition, and they deserve to be recognized for the phenomenal work that they do. And they interested us at Raising a Mathematician Foundation the opportunity to identify one such teacher every year and felicitate them. So I'm really thankful to the P.P. Raman sir's family. They consider me as part of the family, but I have to say this on behalf of Raising a Mathematician Foundation, that you are doing such a great service to the mathematics education community, and a lot of teachers would be inspired by this. And we thought, when we thought of giving this award, we thought what better opportunity than raising teachers coined here. So my sincere thanks to P.P. Raman sir and family for giving this award every year. And with that, I'll conclude. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Professionals working to improve the quality of education for marginalized children across India. He was a Reuter Fellow at the University of Oxford, UK. He has held senior editorial positions in print media before moving to the field of education full-time. I request Mr. Sriram to introduce Mr. Rajendra Tamarapura, recipient of the P.P. Raman Award.
Good morning to you. It's a little embarrassing to introduce a friend. But anyway, Vinay called upon me to do this duty. About 14 years ago. I'm not a professional educator. I'm exactly like Vinay. I'm not a professional educator. I was in other professions. I am still in other professions. But I dabbled into education because I found that when my daughter was growing up, she was going through an experience. I got interested in that education experience. So I became a teacher, I became an educator, I became a consultant, and all of that followed. About 14 years ago, 14 years ago, I read a small booklet, all of 15 minutes. It was in Tamil, and it was titled Constructivist Pedagogy in Tamil, called Akkaviya Asiriyam. So I was quite excited. I was so excited that I decided that I must meet this person. So his number was given at the back of the booklet. So Rajendran is from a village. He's probably never been to a city. He was never been to a city before that. Now, of course, he's a globetrotter. So I decided to visit his village and see this person. So I met him, and one thing led to the other, and we became friends. We became colleagues in some projects, and we continued our friendship. And I would like to present Rajendran for two broad categories. One is that he is a myth buster. He must have broken many myths, but on the top of my mind, he has broken at least 3 myths. First myth is that the knowledge transfer or pedagogy transfer or technology transfer or technique transfer or whatever we call it is typically from urban to rural areas. You find schools absorbing, techniques perfected by some professor in a New York University or Harvard or elsewhere. Rajendran has brought the reverse direction to it. He has always. How many of you have studied in the same school and have taught in the same school? Okay, 2 of you. This man studied in the same school, taught in the same school, and retired from the same school. In that sense, of his knowledge flow was from a rural school to urban school. He has been a consultant to various organizations across the country. He is now consulting for SCRT Tamil Nadu. He is training teachers. From a rural area, first from a rural area to some practice in agriculture or organic farming or something like that. Which got transferred from a rural environment to an urban environment. Rajendran was in some sense the karta for that. The second point is that you don't have to be a subject expert. Rajendran doesn't have a degree in mathematics. Now, but at the primary level, I have not known of a better mathematics teacher than him. It is just that he brings to focus that at that level, you are teaching children, you are not teaching a subject. Now, teaching children is very different from the attitude, is very different from teaching a subject. That's what he brings to the language. So the point is to focus on teaching children, and you don't have to be a subject expert. Our children went to cities because we were parents and we benefited from interacting with Rajendran. And now our children have gone on to the globally, top-ranking universities, but so that was the. You are not exactly a mathematics gold medalist, doesn't matter. You can teach maths. Third is that it doesn't matter what kind of children you have in kind of school you work in. Rajendran worked in a government school. There was no criteria set for states and governments as well as organizations seek your advice and help. So that is what kind of students you have. You can create magic in any classroom with any group of children. It doesn't but I'll take just a few more minutes. He has many great qualities. I would just mention 3 qualities which we could possibly think about for ourselves. One is that his principal quality is that he is every child in the classroom. He is not the teacher for first benchers. He teaches to the last child in the class. So he makes sure he is alert. He is extremely alert. He makes sure that everyone learns in the class. It's not just the first bencher. He doesn't confine his teaching to a few in the class. So everyone learns. That's a great quality. I mean, he has perfected it over decades, but I think that is an aspiration to keep for all of us. Second point is that he is still a learner. He is open-minded. We have had our disagreements. I got actually some kind of Aksharabhyas in education because of him. And then we moved on and we have had our disagreements, we have had our fights, we have had, we have, in some sense, I still have disagreements on many of his, or some of his strategies and techniques. But on all this, he was absolutely open-minded. He would, in that small booklet which I mentioned in the beginning, the last sentence was that if a better pedagogy comes, we will accept that and check this out. So that is the kind of open-mindedness he had, that if you offer him a better technique or if you prove that something is better than what he is doing or what somebody else is doing, let us adopt that, because the focus is on the children learning, not on holding some pedagogy to be holy and we need to go with this. There is no such kind of sacrosanct concept in education. Whatever makes children learn better, we will go with that. So he is still a learner. And third point is that his absolutely unflagging spirit. He is past 60? Okay. He is 63. He is very quiet in saying that. He is very impressed. But he has the, I don't have, I am younger to him, but I don't have the energy, half his energy. So he can beat any 20-year-old person in the kind of focus and commitment to teaching. He is absolutely relentless. A great point about him is that he is focused. He is not interested in what Manjul Bhargava has contributed or what even Ramanujam has contributed. He is focused on what his class children will learn and how he can do better and how they can learn better. That is what has made him to be an exemplary kind of a math teacher. Right? So he is a man possessed in that sense, and committed and absolutely focused. I just want to mention one example and then one last word. One example is that when I brought him to the city for the first time, I think we went to a top elite school where I was sort of teaching part-time, and absolutely elite school. And they were happy to have Rajendran. Rajendran was asked to take a class for maths class for class 5, and my daughter was there. in class 5. He started taking the class. The period got over, 45 minutes, there was no bell, there is no bell in that school. So the next teacher for the next class came, saw that the children were totally absorbed and there was something going on. The next teacher just walked away. There was no point in disturbing the class. That period also got over. The third period started and the third period teacher came in and saw that the class was still engrossed. And that teacher also walked away. At the end of the day, the children are asked in that school, there is a habit that you are asked to write what was the most challenging task you had today. What was the most interesting task that you had today? Almost every child in the class said that Rajendran's class. And this man was from a village and it was an absolutely elite school. And some of them have gone on to top universities in the world now. So that he has laid the foundation for that. And one thing, I remember almost all the conversations I have had with him. But one conversation strikes me as important. He said in a meeting with the principal asked, what defines a teacher? What is the most important, what is the distilled wisdom of being a good teacher? He said it in Tamil. He said, உள்ளார்ந்த அன்பு வேணும் குழந்தைகள் மேல. You need to have intrinsic affection for the children you are teaching. If you have that, everything else will fall in place. If you don't have that, you have to first get it, and then rest of them will fall in place. I congratulate Rajendran. It's a bit embarrassing, as he said, but on getting this award, and I congratulate Vinay for deciding to give this highly sort of deserving person. At the same time, his value goes much beyond an award. So if possible, engage with him, question him, disagree with him, agree with him, fight with him, do all that, you will learn a lot. Thank you very much.
Honored to know about this great personality. Pranams to you, sir. I invite Dr. Manoj Jaiswal and Shri Vikas Aryaji, Secretary DV Group of Schools, to present a memento and felicitate Mr. Rajendran, who is seated here. Thank you, sir. May I now request Shri Rajendran, sir, to address the gathering.
மிகவும் உணர்ச்சிகரமான ஒரு அரங்கம் இது. அதனால் ஆங்கிலத்திலிருந்து நான் தமிழுக்கு தாவுகிறேன். உணர்ச்சி தாய்மொழியை கொண்டு வரும். வேறு மொழிகளில் அவ்வளவு உணர்வுபூர்வமாக உங்களால் பேச முடியாது. ஸோ இந்த அரங்கத்தில் அமர்ந்திருக்கும் அத்தனை சிறப்பு விருந்தினர்களுக்கும் என் நெஞ்சார்ந்த நன்றிகளை நான் தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். மிக மிக எதிர்பார்க்காத தருணம். நண்பர் ஸ்ரீராமனை பார்த்தபோது அவர்தான் என்னை அறிமுகப்படுத்த போகிறார் என்றும் இவ்வளவு சிறப்பான ஒரு அறிமுகம் எனக்கு இந்த வாழ்நாளில் கிடைக்கும் என்றும் எனக்கு தோன்றவில்லை. ஸோ மிக மிக மகிழ்ச்சி. அதுபோல இந்த பணிமனையை பார்க்கும்போது மிக ஒரு முக்கியத்துவம் வாய்ந்த ஒரு பணிமனை என்று எனக்கு சொல்ல தோன்றுகிறது. அதுவும் இந்த குறிப்பிட்ட காலத்தில். உங்களுக்கு தெரியுமா, 2-3 மாதங்களுக்கு முன்பு படித்த செய்திகளில் தமிழ்நாட்டில் மட்டுமல்ல, இந்த இந்தியாவிலேயே கணக்கு கற்பதற்கான சேரும் அல்லது கல்லூரிகளில் சேரும் மாணவர்களின் எண்ணிக்கை மிக 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 குறைந்து வருகிறது. இன்ஃபேக்ட் ஒரு 18 20 கல்லூரிகளில் அவர்களின் கணித துறையை இழுத்து மூடிவிட்டார்கள். அதுதான் இன்றைய நிலைமை. இந்த நிலைமையில் நாம் இருக்கிறோம். இந்த பணிமனை இருக்கிறது. இதுவும் குழந்தைகளின் கணிதத்தின் பால் உள்ள ஒரு ஆர்வத்தை தூண்டுவதற்காக உங்களுக்கு உதவும் என்றால் இதை விட மிக சிறந்த ஒரு நோக்கம் வேறு இந்த பணிமனைக்கு இருக்க முடியாது. ஸோ என்னுடைய ஒரு அனுபவம் அல்லது ஒரு பயணத்தை உங்களுடன் பகிர்ந்து கொள்வதில் நான் மிகவும் மகிழ்ச்சி அடைகிறேன். மிக ஒரு விபத்து, நான் என்ன சொல்கிறது என்றால், ஒரு மாநில அளவிலான ஒரு பணிமனையில் பங்கெடுப்பதற்கு 2 பேருக்கான உத்தரவு வரும்போது ஒருவர் என்று விடுமுறை எடுத்தார். அவர் விடுப்பில் இருக்கிறார் என்று சொல்ல போன தலைமை அதிகாரியிடம் தலைமை ஆசிரியரிடம் அவர் அவருடைய வேலையை சீக்கிரம் முடிப்பதற்காக நீ போகிறாயா என்று கேட்டார். ஓ என்றேன். அப்படி நான் மாநில அளவிலான ஒரு பணிமனையில் பங்கெடுக்க நேர்ந்தது. அது நேர்ந்து அப்படியே மேல போய் ஒரு 2-3 பாட புத்தகங்கள் மாறுவதற்கு அந்த குழுவிற்கு வழிகாட்டியாக அல்லது தலைவராக என்று வைத்துக் கொள்ளுங்களேன். அப்படி 3 புத்தகங்கள், ஒவ்வொரு புத்தகம் வெளிவரும்போது, அதாவது பாட புத்தகம் வெளிவரும்போது, இன்றோடு இந்த கல்வித்துறையில் உள்ள பிரச்சனைகள் எல்லாம் தீர்ந்துவிடும், பாடாரும் தேனாரும் ஓடும் என்றெல்லாம் நினைத்தோம். ஒன்றும் ஓடவில்லை. அதற்கு பிறகுதான் தெரிந்தது, ஓகே, இத பாட புத்தகம் மாறுவதால் மட்டுமல்ல, ஆசிரியர்களுக்கு சிறந்த பயிற்சி கொடுக்க வேண்டும் என்று பயிற்சியில் நாங்கள் முக்கியத்துவம் கொடுத்தோம். நல்ல என்ன சொல்கிறது, யஷ்பால் சர்மா அவர்களே எங்களுடைய ஆசிரியர் பயிற்சி மோடியூலை அல்லது அந்த கட்டகத்தை மிகவும் பாராட்டி அந்த அளவுக்கான ஒரு 2-3 ஆண்டுகள் பயிற்சியை கொடுத்தோம். ஒன்றும் நடக்கவில்லை. இது ஏன்? அதாவது இப்ப இந்த கணிதம் கற்பிப்பதனால் என்ன லாபம் அப்படின்னு கேட்டா, ஒரு ப்ராப்ளம் சால்விங் ஸ்கில் குழந்தைக்கு வரும். வாழ்க்கையில் சந்திக்கும் பிரச்சனைகளுக்கெல்லாம் தீர்வு காண இந்த திறன் உதவும் என்றெல்லாம் நாம் படித்திருக்கிறோம். ஆனால் உண்மையான ப்ராப்ளம் அந்த குழந்தைகளுக்கு கிடைப்பதில்லை. அது நமக்குத்தான் கிடைக்கிறது. ப்ராப்ளம், வாட் இஸ் a problem? If you don't know what to do with that, then only it is a problem. உங்களுக்கு என்ன செய்வது என்று தெரியாமல் இருந்தால் தான். ஸோ இங்க பாட புத்தகம் நடந்தது. அது போல 2 ப்ராப்ளத்தை நான் இங்க பேசலாம் என்று இருக்கிறேன். பாட புத்தகம் மாற்றினோம், நடக்கவில்லை. பயிற்சியை மாற்றினோம். அவர்களுடைய வகுப்பை பார்த்தாலும் அதையே போல பழி இருக்குமே தவிர குழந்தைகள் தெய்வமே என்று உட்கார்ந்திருப்பார்கள். ஸோ ஏன் என்று கேட்டபோதுதான் எங்களுடைய எனக்கும் ஸ்ரீராமுக்கும் உள்ள ஒரு பொதுவான ஒரு காமன் ஃப்ரெண்ட் அவர் ஒரு சம்மட்டி அடிப்பால ஒரு கேள்வியை கேட்டார். நீங்கள் பாட பொருளை கற்பிக்கிறீர்களா இல்லை செய்முறைகளை? Teaching the content or are you teaching the processes? அந்த கேள்வி அப்படி குழந்தைகளை கவனிக்க தொடங்கி அவர்களுடன் நெருக்கமாக நாம் உறவாடும் போதுதான் அவர்கள் நம்முடைய வகுப்பறையை பற்றியும் பள்ளியை பற்றியும் என்ன நினைக்கிறார்கள் என்பதை நமக்கு ஒரு தைரியமாக ரொம்ப நெருங்கும். இவரிடம் பக்கத்தில் போகலாமா இப்போது இல்ல வேண்டாமா கொஞ்சம் ஒதுங்கி, இந்த குழந்தைக்கே தெரியும் போது ஒரு ஆசிரியர் இந்த கண்ணியோடு கெட்டோடு ஒரு ஸ்ட்ரக்சர் ஒரு அமைப்புக்குள் இருந்து ஒண்ணும் புரியல. கேட்ட தமிழ் மாதிரி இருக்கு. முடிந்த பிறகுதான் இதை வேண்டும், அதை விரிவுபடுத்த வேண்டும். நீங்க ஒரு ப்ராசஸ் பேசுறாருன்னா முதல்ல போய் மோட்டிவேட் பண்ணுங்க. அப்புறம் நீங்க கன்ஃபார்ம் பண்ணுங்க. மோசமா போச்சு, சரிதா? இந்த குழந்தை அங்கிருந்து எப்படா ஓடலாமான்னு இருக்கும். குழந்தைய யாருமே பார்க்கல. அதுதான் பிரச்சனை. டே உனக்கு ஏதாவது புரியுதா, உனக்கு இது நல்லா இருக்குதா, நான் சொல்றது இப்படின்னு யாராவது கேட்டிருந்தா அவன் புட்டு வச்சிருப்பான். நமக்கு கேட்கறதுக்கு நேரமே இல்லையே, சரிதான். அந்த மாதிரி போயிட்டு இருக்கும் போதுதான் ஓகே இந்த குழந்தைகள் எப்படி முன்னாடி இருந்து படிச்சு வர்றாங்க, பள்ளிக்கூடத்துக்கு வரும்போது நிறைய விஷயங்கள் தெரியுது, அது எப்படி படிக்கிறாங்க அப்படின்னு தேடி போகும்போதுதான் அவர்களுக்கே உரிய ஒரு லேர்னிங் ப்ராசஸ் அல்லது ஒரு கற்றல் முறை அந்த குழந்தைகளுக்கு இருக்கு. அந்த கற்றல் முறையினுடைய தொடக்க புள்ளி எது தெரியுமா? ஏதோ ஒண்ணு அவங்கள கவரணும், அவங்கள அட்ராக்ட் பண்ணணும், ஒரு கொக்கி போட்டு இழுக்கணும். அப்பதான் அந்த குழந்தை உங்களை திரும்பி பார்க்கும். திரும்பி பார்த்து வச்சிட்டீங்கன்னா பின்ன உங்க வேலை முடிஞ்சிருச்சு, அவ்வளவுதான். இந்த 5 நாள் ஒர்க் ஷாப்லையும் எனக்கு தெரியும் வினய் நாயர் சாரும் அவங்க டீம் எல்லாம் செய்ய போறது, உங்களுக்கு ஏதோ ஒரு பிரச்சனையை ஒரு சவாலை எழுப்பிட்டு அவங்க ஓடி போயிடுவாங்க. அப்புறம் நீங்க இந்த நாய்கிட்ட கிடைக்கிற தேங்காயை உருட்டி தெரியுதா, அது மாதிரி நீங்க உருட்டிட்டே இருப்பீங்க. பட் and that struggle is learning. அந்த ஸ்ட்ரகிள் நீங்க படுவதற்கு அல்லது அந்த ஸ்ட்ரகிள் அந்த சிரமத்தை நீங்க எடுப்பதற்கு தயாராக இருந்தால் உங்களுக்கு ஒரு அதிசயம், ஒரு ஆச்சரியம், ஒரு ஆனந்தம் இறுதியில் காத்திருக்கிறது. வெறுமனே எடுத்து தந்தால் அந்த ஆனந்தம் உங்களுக்கு வராது. அந்த கவரும்படியான, அந்த குழந்தைகளை கவரும்படியான ஒரு கணித வகுப்பை எப்படி உருவாக்குவது என்பதுதான் இத்தனை காலமாக நாங்கள் செய்து கொண்டிருக்கிறோம். ஏதோ சில முயற்சிகள் அங்கங்கு வெற்றி பெற்றன என்று சொல்லலாம். ரொம்ப இன்னும் தொடர்ந்து கொண்டே இருக்கு. இன்னும் இந்த குழந்தைகள் நம்மை ஆச்சரியப்படுத்தி கொண்டே இருக்கிறார், அதுல சந்தேகமே இல்லை. எப்போதும் அவர்கள் உங்களை ஆச்சரியப்படுத்த தயாராகத்தான் இருக்காங்க. புரியுது? சின்ன 15/3 அந்த கிளாஸ்ல நடந்ததுதான். 15/3 சொன்னா நம்ம 5 எழுதணும். இந்த பொருட்கள் எல்லாம் வச்சு செய்யும்போது 5 5 5 3 5 இருக்கு. நீங்க என்ன டிஸ்கவுண்ட் 1 தான் எழுதியிருக்கீங்க. தெரியுது உங்களுக்கு? இப்படி இந்த குழந்தைகள் கேட்கும் போதுதான் உங்களுக்கு தெரியும், அடடா ஆமா இல்ல அப்படின்னு. நீங்க பொருட்கள் வச்சு 22 23 எல்லாம் சொல்லி தர்றீங்க. 2 10 பொருள் இங்க இருக்கு, 3 இங்க இருக்கு. இது திருப்பி வச்சாலும் 23 தான். ஆனா நீங்க எப்படித்தான் எழுதுவீங்க? 23 மட்டும்தான் எழுதுவீங்க. ஒரு குழந்தைக்கு நாற்காலி இப்படி இருக்காது, சரிஞ்சு விழுந்தாலே நாற்காலி தான், தலைகீழா கிடந்தாலும் நாற்காலி தான், எப்படி கிடந்தாலும் நாற்காலி தான். ஆனா உங்களுக்கு அல்லது நமக்கு 23 இப்படி போட்டா தான் 23, இது இப்படி போட்டா 23 அல்ல. முடிஞ்சது, அங்கிருந்து குழப்பம். தெரியுதா? இதுதான் குழந்தைகள். ஸோ இந்த குழந்தைகளுக்கு நீங்க கற்பிக்கிறதுக்கு என்ன செய்வீங்க? புரியுதுங்களா? எனக்கு இதுவரைக்கும் உள்ள ஒரு அனுபவத்துல நான் தெரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டது என்னன்னா, தேர் இஸ் நோ சீக்வன்ஸ். நீங்க எண்கள் சொல்லி தந்த பிறகுதான் அல்லது கூட்டல் சொல்லி தந்த பிறகுதான் கழித்தல் இல்லை, அந்த மாதிரி எல்லாம் கிடையாது. ஒரு நல்ல பிரச்சனையை கொடுங்க, அந்த பிரச்சனையை தீர்க்கிறதுக்கு என்னென்ன கத்துக்கணுமோ அதை அந்தந்த இடத்துல கத்துக்கிட்டு போயிட்டே இருக்கு. புரியுதுங்களா? அதனால இந்த சீக்வன்ஸ் அல்லது இது முடிஞ்ச பிறகு அதெல்லாம் கிடையாது. உங்களால் இந்த பணிமனை முடிந்து போகும்போது உங்கள் வகுப்பில் உள்ள குழந்தைகளை நாள் விடாமல் அல்லது கவரக்கூடிய அல்லது தூங்க விடாமல் பண்ணக்கூடிய ஒரு 10 பிரச்சனைகளாவது உங்களுக்கு கிடைக்கும். அந்த பிரச்சனைகளை உங்கள் குழந்தைகளுக்கு சொல்லி பாருங்கள். அங்கிருந்து அந்த கணிதம் இனிக்க தொடங்கும், அவர்களுடைய விருப்பம் பெருகும். அப்போது பாருங்கள், அந்த குழந்தைகள் 10 பேருக்கு அதை சொல்லுவார்கள். எதையாவது ஒன்றை நான் கண்டுபிடிக்கும் போதுதான் என்ன செய்யணும்னு தோணும், அதை அடுத்தவங்களுக்கு பங்கு வைக்கணும்னு தோணும். இது ஒண்ணு. 2வது, உங்களுக்கு உங்களுடைய இந்த என்ன சொல்றது, சிறப்பான திறமையான ஆசிரியர்களுடைய அரங்கத்தில் ஒரு விண்ணப்பம், ஏதாவது அட்லீஸ்ட் ஒரு சாப்டர். தெரியுதா? இதுவரைக்கும் எனக்கு அது நடக்கவே இல்லை என்னுடைய வாழ்வில். அது நடக்கும்னு எனக்கு தெரியல. ஏதாவது ஒரு குழந்தை ஹை கணக்கு புஸ்தகம் அப்படின்னு போய் எடுத்து படிச்சிருக்கா? அப்படியேங்கப்பா கணக்கு புஸ்தகம் கொண்டா வாங்கி படிச்சிருக்கு? இல்லை, இது வரைக்கும் இல்லை. நம்மால் இந்த அரங்கத்தை விட்டு போகும்போது ஒரு 10 இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங் ரீடிங் மெட்டீரியல் அபவுட் இன் மேத்ஸ் நம்மால் உருவாக்க முடியுமா? தட்ஸ் a very good challenge. தெரியுதா உங்களுக்கு? முடிஞ்சு பாருங்க. தெரியுதா? முடிஞ்சா ஷேர் பண்ணுங்க. நான் என்னுடைய குழந்தைகளுக்கு எல்லாம் கொடுக்குறேன் நான். ஸோ வாழ்த்துக்கள் மக்களே, நல்லா இருங்க. தேங்க்யூ.
Thank you so much, sir. The inauguration of this enlightening and educative camp is now going to conclude. May I now call upon Mrs. Yamuna Natraj, a passionate teacher from Bengaluru, volunteer for RAM, teaching assistant for this TTP, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good morning, one and all. I am truly humbled to be here. I am truly humbled to be a part of this wonderful gathering. On behalf of Raising a Mathematician Foundation and the DAV group, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our chief guest, Dr. Manu Jaiswal, and our guest of honor, Shri Anup Jaiswal, for accepting our invitation and being with us here this morning. Thank you, sir, for sharing the interesting anecdotes from your life and also giving us some informative words on how to go about our, how to teach with passion and what are the things that we need to keep in mind. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Sri Rajendran sir for all his achievements and also being awarded the P.P. Raman Award. You truly are an inspiration to all of us present here. My immense gratitude to the DAV group for taking this initiative and organizing this training program, not only for teachers from their group of schools, but also inviting teachers from the other schools. Thank you. My sincere thanks to the DAV group for arranging the food, accommodation, and bearing the entire cost for this event. My special mention for the dynamic team of DAV group, headed by Shanti ma'am, Tata ma'am, Penmoli ma'am, and the others for their immaculate planning and execution of this program. A warm welcome to all the participants. I hope you're all as eager and excited for the program to begin as I am. Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Wishing you all a wonderful journey these 5 days. Thank you so much.